Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dragons and Spaceships, the podcast where we explore the stories that carry us across galaxies, through magical realms, and sometimes straight into the deepest corners of the human heart. Today, we are heading far beyond Earth because this week's episode is all about one of the most beloved modern science fiction novels ever written, Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. And with the major film adaptation arriving this month, there has never been a better time to revisit this incredible story. But before we launch into deep space, let's start with a quick look at a book that is making waves right now. One trending title you may have been seeing everywhere lately is The Ministry of Time by Kellyanne Bradley. This genre-blending novel combines time travel, romance, spy fiction, and literary drama into something completely unique. The story follows a government project that pulls people from the past into modern-day London to study how they adapt, including a real 19th century Arctic explorer who suddenly finds himself navigating smartphones, office politics, and a future that should have never existed for him. But as the experiment unfolds, questions begin to emerge. Are these people truly safe? Can history be rewritten? And what happens when emotional connections start to complicate scientific objectives? It's smart, it's funny, it's unsettling, and surprisingly heartfelt. The kind of book that is hard to categorize, but impossible to forget. So, if you enjoy speculative fiction with a literary edge, this one might deserve a spot on your reading list. But now, let's head back into the void. Project Hail Mary begins with a man waking up alone on a spaceship. He doesn't know who he is, he doesn't know where he is, and he definitely doesn't know why two dead astronauts are floating beside him. Slowly, painfully, his memory begins to return. His name is Ryland Grace, and before all of this, he wasn't an astronaut, he wasn't a soldier, he wasn't even a pilot. He was a middle school science teacher. But now he's something else entirely, humanity's last hope. Ryland is aboard a spacecraft traveling nearly 12 light years from Earth towards star Tau Ceti on a desperate mission to save the entire human race, because something is happening to the sun, and if no one stops it, humanity will not survive. Scientists discover a mysterious alien microorganism they call astrophage. These microscopic life forms feed on stellar energy, literally draining the sun of its power. They are spreading star to star, consuming light itself. And Earth's sun is already infected. If nothing changes, the consequences are catastrophic. Global cooling, agriculture collapse, mass starvation, and eventually extinction. Humanity's solution? Send a desperate interstellar mission onto the one nearby star that appears unaffected, Tau Ceti. If scientists can learn why that star is safe, they might be able to save Earth. But there's one devastating reality. The mission is one way. Ryland Grace isn't a typical sci-fi protagonist. He isn't a trained warrior. He doesn't have elite combat skills. He doesn't even want to be there. He's awkward, self-doubting, endearingly nerdy. He's a teacher, someone who genuinely loves solving problems and explaining how the universe works. And that makes him incredibly human. Instead of brute strength, his greatest tools are curiosity, logic, and stubborn determination. He approaches impossible situations the same way he would approach a difficult classroom experiment. Break it down, test a theory, fail, adjust, and try again. Without diving into major spoilers, everything changes when Ryland discovers he's not alone in the Tau Ceti system. Another spacecraft has arrived, sent by an alien civilization facing the same extinction-level threat to their own star. And aboard that ship is one of the most beloved characters in modern science fiction. Rocky is completely unlike any human. Different biology, different environment, different senses, different communication. And yet, against all odds, Ryland and Rocky find a way to understand each other. Their partnership becomes the emotional core of this novel, a story about cooperation across the unimaginable differences. It's funny, it's moving, and at times surprisingly profound. What makes Project Hail Mary so powerful is its balance between enormous stakes and deeply personal moments. Yes, the fate of entire civilizations hangs in the balance. But the story is also about connection. It's about empathy and curiosity and about the idea that intelligence and kindness can bridge even the most alien divides. At its heart, the novel asks a simple but profound question. What would you sacrifice to save someone else's world? After years of anticipation, the story is finally heading to theaters. Ryan Gosling stars as Ryland Grace, bringing a mix of vulnerability and quiet determination to a character who must carry the fate of humanity largely on its own. Fans are especially eager to see how the film portrays Rocky, a character whose design and personality are central to the story's success. If done well, this could become one of the defining science fiction films of the decade. And now it's time for The Dragon's Roar, where we spotlight a book making waves right now. Today's featured release is Innamorato by Ava Reid, the first book in the House of Teeth duology, and it just released this month, March 2026. This is a dark gothic fantasy filled with necromancy, vengeance, forbidden love, and morally tangled characters. The kind of story where beauty and horror exist side by side. The novel takes place in a world where the dead once walked freely and powerful noble houses controlled death magic. Now only fragments of that power remain, and one shattered family is determined to reclaim it. At the center of the story is Agnes, the last true heir to a fallen house, who must secure a political marriage from her cousin in order to access forbidden knowledge. But things get complicated when she begins to fall for the enemy prince, a love that could destroy everything she's trying to protect. So if you love haunting atmospheres, tragic romance, political intrigue, and stories where love itself becomes dangerous, this one should absolutely be on your radar. So tell me, are you planning to pick up this book, or has it already landed on your TBR? Project Hail Mary reminds us why science fiction matters. It imagines terrifying problems, but also hopeful solutions. It shows us that knowledge can be heroic, curiosity can save lives, and friendship can transcend even the boundaries of species and space itself. Sometimes the fate of worlds doesn't rest in the hands of warriors, but in the hands of someone who refuses to stop asking questions. Thank you so much for joining me on Dragons and Spaceships. If you have read Project Hail Mary, I'd love to know. Did you fall in love with Rocky 2? Are you planning to see the movie? And until next time, keep reading, stay curious, and may your TBR pile never stop growing.